have the greatest job in the world, and that's working with dogs.
Best in Show winner is the French Bulldog.
Winston won the National Dog Show. It was amazing. It was exciting. And to have a dog to be #1 dog in this country, you have to have great nutrition. And I always fed Pro Plan. Just like us, when we eat well, we feel good. And I just love that food and what it's done all these years to all the dogs I've bred and all the dogs I've shown.
Welcome, you guys. Welcome to Pure Dog Talk. I am your host, Laura Reeves, and I love talking to smart people. And you guys, I got one of the top smart people going right now. Adam Levy from Next Generation Chesapeake Bay Retrievers is joining me. And we're going to talk about retrieving dogs and bird dogs and breeding dual dogs. And we're going to talk about a lot of cool stuff. So welcome, Adam. How you doing?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing great.
Excellent. So talk to us. Give us the 411. How did you wind up in Chessies? How did you pick Chessies? Why in the world did you?
If you could think of the visual of a Chesapeake is kind of my first introduction to Chessies. I grew up in New York. I was the only one in my family to hunt. So I hunted with a specific guide and I went out 3 days a week with him.
Wow.
And when I was 17, we got to the boat ramp. It was like one of those rainy, foggy days. It was cold, sea duck hunting. It's either raining or snowing.
Yeah.
And coming through the fog was a guy on his boat, and the Chesapeake was just sitting right on the front of the boat and came right into the boat ramp. And I was like, I need one of those.
They are a fantastic breed. My dad had one when I was a kid. We used to be kind of like the dumping ground for all the sporting dogs in the world. Like it just wound up that way. And my dad had a Chessie that he picked up beside the road. Never could figure out where she came from. Tried and tried. Eventually, like so many of the old school Chessies, she eventually had to be put down because she bit people. But she was the most incredible bird dog, duck dog that I've ever seen. So I really love to hear people's origin stories. So when did you get your first like actively involved with it, Chessie?
I got my first Chessie going on 16 years ago.
Okay.
That's actually the dog right behind me on the wall on this
wall.
side.
Yep.
Yep.
I can never figure out which end's which.
I got him from a breeder in Massachusetts.
Okay.
Her kennel and her breeding program was based off of Karen Anderson's Chestnut Hills.
Okay. All right. I was just going to say, was it Diane? Can't think of Diane's last name.
Baker?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. I evolved from there.
Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yep. So the dog's name was Gunner. Was a wonderful dog. I ran hunt tests with him. He got his championship in conformation. I'm just an overall competitive person. So I was like, if I'm going to get a dog, I want to do it right. Yep. So that was my start. And then, dumb young kid, I thought I had the best dog in the world.
Always.
And I had to go out and get a female.
Oh.
So I was like, I'm going to be a Chesapeake breeder, and just kind of took off from there.
Hey, you know what? We need more young, dumb people. Come on, man.
We definitely do. We definitely do.
Maybe we'll just say young people.
Every time I mentor people or I talk to new people that are looking to get a dog to breed, the first thing that we want to do as breeders is kind of close off our brain and be like, no, you got to do all these things. But I go back and I think about, 16 years ago where I wanted to do those dumb things. And, imagine if somebody just started telling me no. Yeah. So I got to kind of keep that in the back of my head when I talk to people.
I love that. And 16 years, you've built a pretty impressive record. Talk to us a little bit about some of your dogs. I know you've got at least one or two Best in Show winners already.
Yeah, we have 5 Best in Show winners.
Okay. I knew there was a couple I could think of. So good.
Yeah, we have 5 Best in Show winners. 3 of them have hunt test titles. 2 of them are master hunters and also are qualified all age in field trials.
Nice.
We've had 3 of them were in the top 10 sporting dogs. And the dog that we have now is the #1 sporting dog in the country. He's not an old dog. He's just 4 years old. He's already produced master hunters and senior hunters and doing a really nice job. Um,
Okay. So I want to talk about a couple of things. I told you when we started, I want to talk about retriever tests and trials, and I want to talk about creating dual dogs. But now that was the segue. We're just going into dual dogs. So
okay,
we'll get to the
jump right into
retrievers.
it.
Yeah, we'll get to the retriever stuff after, because this is, any of my listeners know, this is my huge passion, and I love talking to people who have that same passion. So talk to us about how you start with this one dog and go all the way to 5 best in show winners, 2 of them with master hunters. That isn't something that happens by accident. What was your
Um,
plan? How did you get there?
as soon as I really got into this, we were training dogs professionally.
Mm-hmm.
And we have access to really watch dogs, and watch a lot of dogs from the litter go through training. So you're able to, just because a dog is pretty or well put together, or just because a dog has got a master hunter title, doesn't mean the dog should be bred. Doesn't mean that it should really keep producing forward. So I'll use an example right now. I had a litter of puppies. We had 14 in the litter. I have 9 of them in training right now. Um, and
Okay, that's a lot. So do a little quick segue for me. Next Generation is not just your kennel name; it's also your training facility that you have with a co-owner. Am I correct?
yeah, with Andrew. Yep. And Andrew and I started this 14 years ago together. We met in Texas. I moved to Texas to open up a martial arts school. He moved to Texas to start working for another professional. I dropped my Chesapeakes off there, and kind of we just turned into hunting buddies and went from there.
And you're in
But yeah,
Minnesota now.
Andrew is, and I'm not just saying this because he's my business partner, but probably one of the best dog trainers and the fairest dog trainers I've ever been around. Always thinking and evolving. I always hear the same thing every year. It's, I wish I had this dog this year that I started last year.
Right.
So that's kind of a little bit about Andrew. But we have the ability to really watch these dogs and a lot of dogs from litters and make decisions on what works and what doesn't work. I get to watch them grow up and watch them go through that mental development, and watching dogs that are supposed to go on that upper level and seeing where they have pitfalls and what their positives are, and then be able to make those decisions breeding forward. So I think that really helped us push at a faster rate. I got 40 Chesapeakes in training right now, and 30 of them are here for either hunt test or field trial training.
And that's, I mean, we talk a lot, right, in the sport about the good old days where everybody had 100 dogs they could run on. Numbers matter. And the ability to have your hands on that many dogs matters. So what are your absolute must-haves and what are your absolute won't-haves?
I don't mind a soft dog. I don't think that is a bad thing. As long as you have some grit behind you. I don't care if you have to kind of slow everything down and get them through the yard, as long as they have some good grit to them, and they have that desire for themselves. I won't take a quitter. A dog that wants to quit is just a big no-no for me. And a dog that just doesn't look good doing the job that you've asked them to do. We have to remember that the standard was meant to be able to have a dog that can last long. I want to be hunting with my 10-year-old dog. I don't want to be fighting through injuries because I've hunted this dog. I was just in Canada and we shot 1,000 birds over a couple days. I want to be able to hunt that dog every day without it being sore or breaking down. So being able to be structurally sound and being able to have the brain to do the job that you ask them to do, those are must-haves for me. And being able to have the willingness to quote unquote cut a dog from a program because they're not that. And I think that's the hardest thing for breeders nowadays, or people that can't have large numbers of dogs. They don't want to cut the 1 or 2 dogs that they have living in their house. And so I think that's where we kind of get stuck in mediocrity sometimes.
I preach in the choir. I was telling you this story off air, but this is real. I had many years ago, just an absolutely beautiful little bitch. She finished her championship, no problem, all of her health clearances. And I swear to God, I sent her to a friend of mine because I'm like, I can't make this bitch do anything. Can you make this bitch do anything? And she tried everything you can imagine. And anytime you asked the dog to do anything, she would literally roll over on her back and wave her feet in the air. I'm like,
Right.
no, this is this is not going in my breeding program.
Right. And I don't care how pretty you are. What is that doing to help you?
Right, exactly. No work ethic is no work ethic, and it needs to go bye
Right.
bye.
Right.
So I think, and I do. You'll laugh. I do presentations on this exact topic to the like NAVTA guys, right? Like just because your dog will kill itself to do what you want it to do doesn't mean it should have to.
Right. 100%. And then vice versa, we had a dog that we sold this year, got his master title really easily. Got 6 straight passes, was a young dog, 2.5 years old. Kind of went through training really nicely, but I called up his co-owner, and I was like, hey, he's just not what we want to be producing forward. Let's put him in a really good hunting home and let's move on to the next dog and let's start over. You have to make those hard decisions.
Yes, 100%. So in your breeding program, are you line breeding, inbreeding, outcrossing, phenotype, genotype? How are you thinking about, because it's so hard because it has to look good, it has to work good, it has to be healthy, and it has to have a good mind. So you're not just doing 1 or 2 of those things when we're doing this type of project that you and I pursue. So what's your thing?
Everything and anything that you just said under the sun is will do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big I line breed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Very rarely I'll outcross every so often.
Mm-hmm.
But I know I'm losing something when I outcross, and then I have to come back in tight. And I think that there's a huge science behind breeding. I think we need to stop just looking at, just health clearances and making sure that these health clearances match up, or I'm putting 2 master hunters together. There's a science behind breeding, and we need to get back to that. Back to the days where there was breeding kennels and they were held in high regard. So line breeding for me is extremely important. I'm not against inbreeding on the right dogs either. I know that that's such a scary word for people, but I think with the right dogs, you lock in type, and then you can worry about where to go from there. If I did an inbreeding and I have an issue here, I can outcross there, and then come back in afterwards.
Right.
You have to you deal with what you're given. I outcross a lot less than I'd like to talk about. But I think that I had this discussion with a well-known Chesapeake breeder. I'll leave names out of this, and she says line breeding doesn't work in this breed. And I go back and I look at her, look at the program for many years, and I was like, well, I understand why you think that, but it just line breeding is not a breed specific thing.
Yeah.
It's what your line
Basic
breeding
genetics
on.
are basic genetics.
Exactly. So yes, I'm a big line breeder.
Yeah. I was stalking you a little bit before we got on air and saw you've got a breeding coming up to a dual champion. Is that a dog that you got to see?
No, I didn't get a chance to see him. I have some wonderful mentors in the breed. And that was the dog.
That an
He's
old
not
dog?
a dual.
I didn't
Yeah.
recognize the name.
Yeah, he's not a dual champion. He's produced dual champions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's a qualified all-age dog. His
Mhm.
name is Benny. He's crackshot's been there, done that.
Mhm.
And one of my wonderful mentors in the breed, Linda Harger, bred to him and had a wonderful litter of puppies. And he brings in his pedigree brings a lot to the program. And his pedigree on the top side and the bottom side, I played with a lot of. Okay. 3 generations and 2 generations back. And I'm really excited to see what he brings to the program, and kind of go from there. But yes, I like to bring in a couple of those field dogs. I might lose a little bit, but I can again move from there. So I like to bring those in because you have to keep your desire, you have to keep your brain, you have to keep that to really push forward in the goals that you have, which mine is always, my main goal is to produce an FC that can win a best in show.
That's always been mine. Like I said, mom and I bred the breed's first best in show dual champion, and it's, we have a dual futurity award that's on my wall, right? Those are things that matter. And so one of my prettiest bitches, the bitch that everything I have right now goes back to, was 3/4 field trial bred, and she was winner's bitch at the national. And so,
Awesome.
yeah, we are lucky, right? Chessies and wire hairs. Like there's not so much divide, right, between the field trial and the field dog and the show dog that we can't do this.
Yep. The only living dual champion in our breed right now was bred and owned by Linda Harder. He's still alive. Okay. He's 9 years old.
Oh, wow.
Has 90 all age points, is running like he's a 2-year-old still, which shows, he's put together properly. Mm-hmm. But when Linda contacted me to have him finished, I was like, let's show him at a big show. Mm-hmm. Let's make it really mean something.
Yeah.
And we brought him to supported entry, and he went winner's dog every day that weekend for 5-point majors to finish. Right. And, it shows that the divide is not there. Obviously you're going to have dogs that on both extremes.
Exactly.
But yeah, he's well put together, and he produces it nicely.
And I think it's really interesting to hear your conversation about this, because I think it's the same thing. Like you're trying to find the happy medium where you have the drive and you have the structure to support the drive. Yep.
The Hank, which is a dog that we campaigned in 2018, 2019. Mm-hmm. He broke the best in show record that was about 30 years old. He was a Master Hunter qualified all-age dog. He was the first retriever ever to win a best in show that was a Master Hunter qualified all-age dog. And he comes from 2 parents that have never seen a duck a day in their life. But that's the other thing, is we don't need to just be searching for certain titles. We need to be able to see something in a dog.
Yes.
And Hank had it and produces it. He's produced now a national specialty winner, a best in show winner. He's produced Master Hunters. So you just got to you really got to know what you're looking at moving forward. And that dog came from one of my mentors, and who I call a mother, which is Diane Baker.
Talk to me about, I know how this is for me, so I'm curious to hear from you. How much weight, how important is it for you to have actually hands-on seen the dog's work or in the ring or what have you for as much as you can in the pedigree?
It's getting more and more. I've watched Master Hunter dogs in the field that I would never want to breed to. I've watched best in show dogs in the ring. I've seen them in the ring. I put my hands on them. I would never touch them. Mm-hmm. It really makes me scratch my head when breeders are, pushing a dog that I'm like, I don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't want it in my program. So it's getting more and more, unless I have somebody that I really trust with a really good eye that can tell me, hey, this is the dog to breed to from the 80s and the 70s. And, right. I've used a lot of frozen semen in my breeding program, but those came from people that I really respect as mentors that have proven themselves over and over again.
And I encourage people all the time. Like the only way that I think you learn your breed and learn your pedigrees and learn what you've got, you can put your hands on all those dogs. Not all of us have the ability to have 40 dogs in the kennel. Yep. Go to the national, see the dogs in the field and in the ring.
Yep.
Watch them.
And whether you like
generation after generation.
Yeah, whether you like the judge at the national or not, that's not the point. You never go to a national thinking I'm going to the national to win.
So much.
I can't stand that. Don't miss your nationals as a breeder. Whether you have 2 dogs or 100 dogs, don't miss your national. Something might pop up. I found a dog at the national who my breeding program is I've used him 5 times already, and I just bought frozen semen on the dog.
Oh, wow.
And I saw him at the national in the 4 to 6 month puppy class.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I'm using that dog. Mm-hmm. There's a time I'm using that dog. Mm-hmm. And I was the first person to ever use the dog. And God, my breeding program is I line breed on that dog. I continually use that dog when I need to fix, I really want to short upper arms is a big thing in every breed. This dog is constantly producing nice length of upper arm with good layback and really produces good brains as well.
Good God. I mean, you'd like, can we have him bronzed, just stamped? I mean, that'd be great.
Yep.
Just say.
But you got to breed him to a line bred bitch. So
okay.
you got to breed him properly.
Right.
But I would have never seen this dog if I didn't go to the national and I didn't get a ribbon at that national.
Right.
So
Right.
it doesn't, you got to go to the national to see dogs. You got to see them in person, and go to your field trial, especially in watch dogs.
Yes.
Go to the WD and watch dogs.
Yes.
Go to weekend hunt test and watch dogs.
I just came back from the Wire Hair National, and I spent a lot of years on a horse, but I don't get to as much anymore. But every year, if I can in any way, I get on my fat, happy hiney on a horse and I ride and I watch dogs at least through the amateur so that I can see the Derby and what these dogs are doing at least in the first stake. So
yep, you have to. And I think that's the advantage that I have is I get to go outside and I get to watch these dogs every day, right. Put form and function together. Mm-hmm. And I would say that's probably my biggest advantage is I really get to watch it every day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
agreed. Okay. So I promised we were going to get back to this. I could just sit and BS about breeding stuff forever, but a lot of people don't know the difference between a hunt test and a field trial, particularly in retrievers. So when you say a master hunter dog that's got open all age points, they have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah. So break that down for us in like the kindergarten speak version.
Okay, so there's a huge difference between hunt tests and field trials.
Yes.
So big. So the highest level of hunt test is a master hunter. Mm-hmm. You have 3 levels. You have junior hunter, senior hunter, and master hunter. The junior hunter is a dog picking up 1 bird that fell on land and water. They get two birds on land, 2 birds on water. They're 1 bird is thrown at a time. A senior hunter is 2 marks going down, and the dog has to pick up 2 birds, so they have to remember a bird, work on memory, and then they also have to run blinds as well. And a blind is a bird that went down that the dog never saw, and you have to give them direction on where to go. And then a master hunter, highest level of hunt tests, it's 3 birds down, more series, 3 series with blinds, a lot more complex.
Yep.
So that's the highest level of hunt tests. Then you have
are non-competitive. I think that's the thing we need to make sure people understand. It's a pass-fail.
Dogs are being judged to the standard. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter how well the dog next to you did compared to your dog, as long as your dog is doing the work to the standard of AKC hunt tests, your dog will pass. Yep. So it is a pass-fail. And then you have field trials, which is just a straight-up competition. Mm-hmm. And field trials, you have derbies, you have minor stakes, which is your derbies and your qualifyings, and then you have all-age stakes, which is your amateurs and your opens. That's where your FC, your AFC happens. Where you see a dog that says QAA or QA2, those are qualified all-age dogs, or qualified all-age 2 dogs, which is now an official title through AKC.
Okay.
And then you have your derby dogs, which are dogs that are getting ready to...
Young dogs.
To push, young dogs, under 2 years old, which is all doubles with multiple series, 4 series. Mm-hmm. Field trials are way bigger setups. You can have birds out to 400 yards. Mm-hmm. You can have people that are standing out there and then they disappear. Mm-hmm. So the dog saw a white coat out there at one point and now they came back from another bird and it's gone. It's a whole nother world. And that's all competition. I love
straight lines.
Straight lines.
Like we were talking earlier, and I don't know how much of this I've talked about on the podcast, but I literally cut my teeth in dogs in a white lab coat throwing maggoty ducks into a scummy cow pond. So I feel it with hardcore field trial lab guys. So talk to us about the difference, because this is where the rubber hits the road really in the retrievers, is the labs. Like in spaniel hunt tests, the springers are kind of the gold standard. And in pointing breed field trials, the pointer, or sometimes the setters are the gold standard. In retriever field trials, the lab is the gold standard, with Chessie the next behind it. Talk to us about why that's a difference.
Sure, numbers, just straight up numbers. There's a lot more of them. The other thing is that there's a big split in the breed.
In labs.
And in labs. There's a field lab. It will never do anything in the ring.
No.
And a lot of conformation dogs can do well in hunt tests. They're probably not going to do well in field trials. And it's sad, but it's just the reality of it. And I think they have one focus, and their focus is strictly on field trials, running big, running long. And that's their focus. And I think that's why they have a better success. They're breeding specifically for something, where in Chesapeake's, we're breeding for everything in one. And it makes it a lot harder.
It does. Yes. Yes, it does.
You want a dog that can perform, that is structurally to the standard, that can also go out there and compete with those dogs at the highest level every weekend. And it definitely makes life difficult, but it makes a lot of fun.
It's the challenge, right? I mean, that's the whole point of the exercise.
Exactly.
And I think, my experience, labs and Chessies work differently. Like, they have different styles of working. They really do. And I think that has something to do with it. It certainly does in the spaniel hunt test. Springer flush is a lot harder. Clumber spaniels, what we had, they like to trap their birds, so they're just not quite as
Chessies have a humanality to them, so they can overthink situations very easily, and it gets them in trouble. So you start doing too much repetition with them, and you'll start having them make mistakes, because they're like, why are you asking me to do this over and over and over and over and over again, the same thing? Why'd you send me to that pile 30 times? And they're like, maybe I'm doing it wrong, so I need to do something different.
Right.
And they're not being disobedient. They're just thinking a little bit differently.
And labs are more than happy to do it 30 times in a row.
And they're probably not tired yet.
No, not tired yet. I mean, let's just be real, man. I did baseball blinds with my dad's field trial labs when I was, 18. So. Okay, so to wrap it up just a little bit, what are your goals going forward? Like, what is your dream? You've been at it 16 years. You've had tremendous success in that amount of time. Where do you want to get to? What's the end goal for you?
I think a dog that can really add to the breed, that can mentally, physically, emotionally be an FC. That can go in and be a very competitive dog in the field. I mean, in the ring as well. That would be breeding a best in show FC dual champion. That's where my head's at. My head can't come off that goal. It's not going anywhere until I do it.
I love it.
And then figuring out how to lock that in and doing it over and over and over again.
I'm going to tell you right now from personal experience, that's the challenge.
Yep. I had a dog that wasn't started off that way. He had the brain to do it. And he ended up being a top sporting dog. He had 6 best in shows. He was QA2 in field trials. He had open placements. We just started him a little late for that. If I can get him over again, I would redo him a little bit differently. It's the, I wish I had that dog last.
It's the Mr. Potato Head, right?
Exactly.
Can I just have this one's brain and this one's front assembly and that one's coat? That'd be great. Thanks.
Exactly.
God.
And it's my current dog. It's my current dog's father. So, it's not too far removed from where I'm looking for. So I you just got to tweak little things.
And I don't normally dive into personal lives on podcasts, but I think a little comment about you and Devin and the team that you make I would be remiss if I did not mention that.
It is evaluating puppies and evaluating dogs is probably the most fun thing in our house. And then Devin gets to come out when she's home.
Mhm.
And she loves watching the dogs out in the field, and she's, she runs dogs, but it is, I come from somebody that has such a great eye and is so talented hands-on with a dog. I really get to see what a dog really looks like to their full potential with her. And I think it's definitely taken the breeding program to heights that at a faster rate that I could have ever imagined. And it doesn't even have to do with the ribbons of winning. It's just being able to really see a dog move properly and watching a dog, what they really look like. And being able to talk about those things.
Presented right and all the stuff.
Exactly. Who would have thought a Chesapeake would have 60 best in shows?
Yeah, that's weird, man.
And kudo, Devin just has that, I call it the magic hand. She can, she figures it out. But, we discussed that specific dog as a puppy at 8 weeks old. And, we banter back and forth. And, I love that competitive side of things with her. But yeah, it's a fun thing in our house.
That's pretty awesome. I can remember
Yep.
when Ben was a little kid in juniors. If that makes you feel any better.
And,
Hi,
Devin. There's no gray area there. She'll look at me and she'll be like, "Yeah, the dog's good in the field, but get out of your breeding program." And I'll be like, "Oh, okay."
Well, and I think honesty. I think that really is right. I mean, that's a thing.
Yep.
Like you have another one of my seminars I talk about ruthless. Like you have to be ruthless.
Emotion needs to come out of breeding.
Mm.
And we should love our dogs, and our dogs should be our pets and sleeping in our bed, and love our dogs like they're our own family. But when it comes to breeding, you need to take the emotion out of it.
Yes.
You have to make the right decisions for your breeding program.
Preach.
and for the breed. And that's the hardest thing. That is, it's the best dog I ever had, so I want to breed him. That's just because he's the best dog that you've ever had doesn't mean that it's going to help advance the breed.
I am leaving it at that because that is a statement of fact. All right, Adam, thank you so much. This has been fantastic. I really, really enjoyed it.
Awesome. It was very nice talking with you.